We are live in 3, 2, 1.
A bill that requires BYU police to fulfill public records requests is on the governor's desk for final approval.
I think it'd be a pretty easy implementation just because the companies can generally just see the location of the users.
Emergency alerts may soon be pushed to your phone from video streaming companies.
Snow falls for maybe the last time this year, but winter makes one last stand.
Welcome to Newsline. It's Wednesday, March 13th. I'm Madeline Rubber.
And I'm Palakiko Chandler. It's March, but someone didn't tell Jack Frost snow falls in the valley maybe for the last time.
And it might or will affect your commute. Chris Jacobs is live in Provo to tell us more. Chris?
This is an unusual time of the year for snow, and it's affecting many of our commuters. UDOT has already reported 60 different crashes since the beginning of the storm. And a winter advisory is in place until 10 p.m. tonight. UDOT warns the plan on slippery roads and blowing snow that could severely reduce visibility. UDOT asks that you use caution while driving, such as avoiding cruise control and not speeding. Meanwhile, if we look at our different snow totals for the Wasatch Valley so far, Salt Lake City has received 2 inches and is looking at a potential 3 more inches before the storm is over. Sandy has gotten about an inch so far and may also be looking at another 3 inches. Farmington has actually received 2 inches and might even get up as many as 4 inches. And Ogden has just started snowing, so we haven't gotten those totals in yet. Meanwhile, here in Provo, it's looking fairly tame. We'll give you more of a report later on. Back to you.
Thanks, Chris. 4 flights have been canceled and 16 more delayed since the first flight took off at 6:30 a.m. this morning. Salt Lake City Airport tweeted that they are currently seeing only minor delays due to the winter storm. For the most and current updated information on flights, visit flightaware.com.
A woman passed away this morning after being caught in a shooting in Sandy. The shooting took place near 1119 South Hawkwood Drive. Sandy Police Department says the woman and 1 man were transported to a local hospital in critical condition for gunshot wounds. Names of the victims have not been released yet, and officers are still notifying family members. There are still no suspects in custody at this time. After a lot of struggle, a bill that would sentence hate crimes differently passed through the House and is almost to Governor Gary Herbert's desk for final approval. The bill is SB 103 and is actually called Victim Targeting Penalty Enhancements. It provides an enhanced penalty for a criminal offense done against a person who is chosen because of certain personal attributes. Possible attributes are listed and could be anywhere from age, ethnicity, and disability.
The House of Representatives joined the Senate yesterday by passing unanimously a bill that requires campus police organizations to follow the same public record rules as all other public police agencies. The bill passed the Senate on March 4th and the House yesterday with a unanimous vote and will now go to the governor. The House Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Committee meeting, BYU Police Department offered some support for the bill. A budget disagreement between the Utah House and Senate is resolved. Republican legislative leaders agreed to provide temporary funding for $320 million in government services. They also agreed to set aside $75 million for a future tax cut. The lawmakers' 45-day session ends tomorrow. As lawmakers arrive for the second to last day of the 2019 Utah legislative session Wednesday, it will be a lighter load due to deal reached Tuesday on budgeting for the fiscal year. Utah's first hate crime passed the bill Tuesday, and more bills are awaiting debate. Some of the issues including campus safety bill, SB 134, and training at institutions of higher education. House Bill 136 bans abortion after 18 weeks of gestation. House Bill 324 raises the legal age of tobacco use, and House Bill 320 restricts cities from plastic grocery bags. Many of the bills are considered hot topic issues and will be discussed in the coming days.
A senator from Hawaii is reintroducing an act that will allow the government to send out critical emergency alerts through Netflix or Hulu. Newsline reporter Danny Hollis joins us now. So Danny, will these alerts be sent to our phones?
Yeah, that's the hope of the act, to reach the people who are busy watching Netflix. But if we're being honest, many of us don't have our own Netflix accounts. It's our roommates, our brothers, our moms. So while the alerts could be sent out during an emergency in a specific geographical area, those alerts might not get to the right viewer.
The sound of the Netflix intro is familiar to most of us. We all like to hit our remotes and chill. And while we're binging on our favorite shows, we don't expect to hear this. But Senator Brian Schatz from Hawaii is trying to change that. This year on Capitol Hill, he will reintroduce the READY Act. The act would explore the possibility of updating emergency alert systems to allow alert pop-ups from streaming services like Netflix or Hulu. There are some concerns, though, about this kind of emergency alert.
Although it sounds like an appealing proposal, in the end what will happen is it'll raise a lot more questions about how viable it will be for the government to regulate content on the internet.
Computer scientist and coder Emily Kwan says that it's possible for FEMA to send out critical alerts this way.
I think it'd be a pretty easy implementation just because the companies can generally just see the location of the users.
But how many of us actually use our own Netflix accounts? Lockheed Martin tech Trenton Hamilton says this would be the tricky part of emergency alerts on streaming services.
So with private networks, it does get a little trickier because the message would just get broadcasted. It doesn't know where it's getting rerouted.
The House and the Senate are currently divided on the READY Act, but you might want to be ready for a future where you could hear this over this.
According to Senator Schatz's team, he is very passionate about this act because of the false missile alarms that Hawaii dealt with less than a year ago. But for now, whether or not we will be interrupted in our binge watching, that all depends on what happens on the Hill. Back to you.
Thanks, Danny.
Dick's Sporting Goods is set to stop selling hunting rifles and ammunition in 125 stores. These 125 locations have experienced a significant dip in hunting gear sales. Dick's Sporting Goods plans to replace the gear with merchandise that will meet the needs of the particular markets. The location of the stores that will stop selling rifles has not been announced yet, but it could be a store near you. Provo City School District has a final open house to hear questions and concerns about potential school building improvements and replacements needed in the district. The meeting will be on Tuesday, March 26th at 7 p.m. at the gym at the Rock Canyon Elementary School. The Provo City School District Board of Education voted Tuesday evening to approve the purchase of the land that could be used at the site for a future school, or a new location of Dixon Middle School if the board were to approve the school's relocation.
After a rainstorm damaged the road earlier this month, the Zion Mount Carmel Highway reopens today. The road, also known as State 9 Route N9, in the park is set to reopen at 5 p.m. today, according to a news release from the National Park Service. The road will be a single lane around the damaged area and will be managed by a traffic signal. Visitors should expect delays. No oversized vehicles are allowed on the road. Buses and RVs are recommended to use alternative routes. I-15 Tech Corridor crews are installing large beams to widen the I-15 bridge. The crews are installing 9 beams and 3 have already been installed. They are the largest precast beams ever in Utah. Construction on the bridge has and will cause road closures on Timpanogos at night, spanning from 9:30 p.m. through 5:30 a.m., Mondays through Thursdays. Friday through Sundays, the closures occur 11 p.m. through 8 a.m. The closures should happen for the next couple of weeks.
A girl from Provo was chosen to clown around with Ellen.
That's right, Morgan Ignis Bristis was featured on Tuesday's episode of The Ellen DeGeneres Show.
Wait till you see yourself. All right.
Morgan was one of 2 girls that were picked from the studio audience to participate in a game. In a competition against Colin Farrell from Disney's live-action Dumbo, Ellen DeGeneres had 1 minute to turn Morgan into a clown. Both girls took home 65-inch TVs for participating.
One of the largest college admission scandals ever.
I think that for institutions, they're just going to have to provide some reassurance to families.
Who has been arrested and how many colleges fell victim to bribes?
After calls for a jaguar to be put down at the Arizona Zoo, the victim admits fault.
Some of my students, some of our students in this town were placed in a situation that was unsafe.
A fight club at a California high school organized by a teacher. How the students were affected and what's next for the teacher.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be earthquake next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So,
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at savethefood.com.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
A judge in Melbourne, Australia, has sentenced Cardinal George Pell to 6 years in prison for sexual abuse. He could be eligible for parole in under 4 years. The former Vatican treasurer was convicted in December of abusing two 13-year-old choir boys back in the 1990s. Pell is now a registered sex offender who claims his innocence and has filed an appeal which will be heard in June. President Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, has been sentenced to an additional 43 months in prison. This morning, Manafort faced his second trial in Washington, D.C. for conspiracy against the U.S. and conspiracy witness tampering. His 43-month prison sentence will be added on top of the 47 months handed down in his trial last week in Virginia.
A woman who was attacked by a jaguar at the Arizona Zoo apologizes for the incident, according to a zoo spokeswoman. After the attack, the woman returned to the Wildlife World Zoo in Litchfield Park and said she feels horrible about the bad publicity the zoo is getting recharging from this incident. The zoo said the woman crossed over the barrier to take a selfie and was attacked by the jaguar. A high school teacher in California has been arrested on suspicion of arranging student fights in his special education's classroom. The alleged fight club happened twice last week before another teacher found out about it and reported it. Students say the teacher, Federico Vargas, acted as a referee. Vargas is on paid leave. He is facing multiple counts of child endangerment and contributing to the delinquency of minors. Vargas is currently out of jail bond.
Millions of dollars illegally funded in a college admission scandal. Why this is the largest college admission scandal ever prosecuted and who has been arrested.
So we want to focus on those things that would normally burn in the hot Utah sun.
It may not feel like spring, but it may be time to think about spring gardening. Useful tips on how to maintain your garden through the summer.
A set of tornadoes touched down, and no, not in Kansas. Where they actually were might surprise you. Meanwhile, I'll give you an update on the snow falling on the Wasatch Front.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana.
How does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
$50 arrests across half a dozen states and millions of dollars illegally funneled.
That's right, and a handful of the country's most prestigious universities at the center of one of the largest college admission scandals ever prosecuted. Kim Hutchinson reports.
Actresses Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman were among dozens of wealthy parents charged in a massive college admission scam. FBI agents made arrests nationwide, including in this Houston neighborhood. In all, 50 people charged Tuesday, accused of being part of a fraud aimed at getting students into some of the country's most prestigious colleges, like UCLA, Stanford, Yale, and Georgetown. The mastermind behind all this? William Rick Singer. Parents allegedly paid Singer more than $25 million between 2011 and 2019 through a fake charity he created. Here's how authorities say the scam went down. Singer would either arrange for people to take admissions exams in place of his clients' children by bribing administrators, or arrange for their real scores to be altered. And he would bribe coaches to help students gain admission as athletes. Stanford's head sailing coach, John Vandemore, was among those charged. He pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy.
He is remorseful, apologizes to his family. Stanford University.
Several of the universities have released statements saying they are cooperating fully with the investigation. I'm Kim Hutcherson reporting.
Even though we were blasted with another winter storm today, it's not too early to start gardening.
NewsLine's Nikki Wilson is live in Provo. Nikki, do you have any tips and tricks on how we can get our kitchen and gardens ready for a fresh harvest this year?
That's right. Any local garden center has plenty of information to help gardeners get started.
Now's the time to start, especially since we've got this beautiful weather coming up this week and at the beginning of next week.
Despite Utah's desert climate and varying temperatures, gardening experts say there are plenty of options for this season.
I highly recommend folks get out there, start enjoying the fresh air and the sunshine, get the gardens prepped.
Kevin Marriott, manager at McCord's Garden Center, recommends checking out the Agricultural Extension Service for tips on how to garden and what to grow. To start, make sure the garden has compost and a fertilizer with plenty of phosphates and nitrogen. Flowers like pansies, violas, ranunculus, primroses, and helleborus are all resistant to the cold weather. But flowers aren't the only option for this spring.
In addition to that, we've got cool weather veggies. Yes, it's time to start your vegetable gardens. Right now, you can do your garden prep for your vegetable gardens and your flower gardens as well.
Peas, carrots, lettuce, cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower are all fair game right now.
However, with vegetables, we want to focus on those things that would normally burn in the hot Utah sun.
But what if you don't have the yard space? That hasn't stopped David from keeping his own portable garden.
So something I did for gardening last year when I first started out was I used the portable planter that I built myself.
And if a garden box isn't an option, you can easily grow herbs like sage, thyme, mint, and chives right inside your kitchen as long as you have a window that gets direct sunlight.
To start your garden, go to extension.usu.edu. I'm reporting for NewsLine live in Provo, Nikki Wilson.
When you think of New Mexico, you probably don't think of tornadoes, but a storm system moved through New Mexico just yesterday and caused dangerous weather conditions for much of the state. Take a look at all these different tornadoes. Two twisters damaged several structures in the southeast part of the state. One of the tornadoes was outside Dexter and the other was south of Loving. No injuries have been reported, though. As we look at the weather, this is kind of what we're looking at today. We have a little bit of snow. As we move into Friday and tonight, we're probably going to get even more as the week goes on. And so do make sure that you are aware the snow conditions will be consisting until at least tonight at 10 p.m. and maybe even later. After that, though, we are looking, after the dip in cold, it's actually going to start getting warmer. So we're actually going to start feeling like spring, which sounds like a great thing to me. And so do keep that in mind. Next week, we should be looking at some nicer weather and maybe even as early as the weekend. As we look at today for the highs, we can actually see that Salt Lake is at a 36, Provo's at a 33. So that is pretty cold for highs. Going to our lows, we'll actually find that it's fairly stable, 29 and 28. It's only a difference of about 5 degrees. Our 5-day forecast for the south is actually looking pretty good as they hit actually the 70s next Monday and 60s over the weekend. And the 5-day forecast for northern Utah is looking a little chillier, but still pretty good, hitting 54 degrees later on. And so overall, we should be feeling pretty good come the weekend. And next week, I am praying that that sunshine goes well.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chris.
Utah Senator Mitt Romney recently took some good-natured ribbing on social media for why he blew out candles on his birthday cake.
Jeannie Mose thinks we should give him a little bit of a break. Here's her take.
When Mitt Romney tweeted out a video of his staff presenting him on his 72nd birthday with a cake made out of his favorite snack, Twinkies, you'd think that Twinkies would be the story.
Holy cow.
But nope. What everyone else was saying holy cow about was this.
Look at this.
He picked up each individual candle and blew it out. The Daily Show called him an incredibly lifelike Mittbot.
Are you kidding?
Someone tweeted, "You don't get a wish for each one, buddy." Oh yeah?
Don't burn yourself.
These are all wishes I'm getting.
True, most big-time politicians try to blow out their candles all at once. Though the Queen of Denmark foiled George W. Bush with too many candles, and Hillary Clinton needed help from Bill, the icing on the cake was the head caress. But Mitt does things differently. After all, this is a guy who tried to iron or steam his shirt while wearing it.
Ouch.
Life isn't fair. It's your birthday, you post a nice little video moment to your social media, and you get burned by your own candles. But Senator Romney takes the cake for consideration. He told TMZ, "I have a bit of a cold and I didn't want to spray my germs all over the Twinkies for everybody else to eat." At least one study has shown blowing out candles can increase cake bacteria by 1,400%. So to the charge that Mitt Romney blows out birthday candles like a serial killer, we say Mitt didn't blow it. It's flu season, and blowing out candles is basically sneezing on the cake.
Holy cow.
Jeannie Mose, CNN.
Bless you.
New York.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
The BYU women's basketball team did it. They won the WCC tournament. Not only is this a conference championship win, this means an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. BYU jumped from a 9 seed to an 8 seed after upsetting Gonzaga, beating them with ease with a final score of 82-68. This leaves the Cougars at 25-6 on the regular season. The first round of 64 for the NCAA tournament begins March 22nd. Russell Westbrook and a Utah Jazz fan got into an altercation on Monday night, and the repercussions have been made. Westbrook told the media the man was yelling racial comments from his seat. Russell Westbrook will be fined $25,000 for what he said to the fan. The fan is permanently banned from the Vivint Smart Home Arena for his comments directed towards Westbrook. Donovan Mitchell took to Twitter to send out a message concerning this issue, saying, "I am personally hurt by the incident at the game on March 11th. As a black man living in a community I love and playing on a team that gives me the opportunity to live out my dreams. This incident hits close to home. Racism and hate speech hurts us all, and this is not the first time something like this has happened in our arena. The Utah that I have come to love is welcoming and inclusive, and last night's incident is not indicative of our fan base. We don't want to create a negative reputation for athletes who potentially may want to come to Utah." Big news in the tennis world yesterday as #1 ranked Novak Djokovic was upset by #37 ranked Philip Kohlschreiber. The match was pretty much one-sided as Kohlschreiber defeated Djokovic in straight sets in just over an hour and a half. Kohlschreiber was originally 0-11 against #1 ranked players going into this match and was on a 3-match losing streak prior to this event. He is currently on a 6-set winning streak with no signs of slowing down. As for Djokovic, a drop in the men's singles rankings is inevitable. #2 ranked Rafael Nadal will likely take that spot. After blowing a 3-1 lead in 2016 in the 2016 World Series, an 0-16 season for the Cleveland Browns, losing in the NBA Finals 2 years straight, and then losing LeBron James once again, the city of Cleveland finally has something to cheer about as wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded to the Cleveland Browns. The 3-time Pro Bowler was traded yesterday. In the trade, the Giants will receive a first-round pick as well as the Browns' second and third-round picks and third-year safety Jabril Peppers. According to Sportsline, the Browns are now the favorites in the AFC North with a 50% chance of winning the division. We'll be right back.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Thanks for joining us today for Newsline.
Have a great day. That snow this morning was pretty crazy.
I know, well, it wasn't even snowing.